Action.
Welcome to the ManTFup podcast. I'm Kimmy B.
And Lenny.
Really, Len? This is how we're starting things off today?
You know.
Okay, Nessa, if things go left, it's not my fault. Listen, before we go any further, please remember to like, follow, share, and subscribe on all of our channels, on all of our platforms. It's at ManTFup TV, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. We're on all podcast streaming services: Apple, Google, Spotify, Pandora, Buzzsprout, iHeart. Is that everything?
Yeah, I think so.
It's
YouTube.
Like I just said, YouTube. Yes, YouTube for sure. Like I said, pretty much any and everywhere that you can either see or hear us, we are there, just annoying the hell out of you. Talking about the difficult topics. Like today, Len, found another tweet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, me and my tweets.
Of course you did. Wait,
Yep.
1 sec.
What?
If you have any comments, feel free to email them
Jesus.
to kimmyb@mantfuptv.com.
That's his contribution every single week.
Hey, you know.
Maybe if you skipped a week, they'd actually email me. What do
Maybe.
you think? All right. Well, so listen. This tweet came from a man by the name of Daryl Bryant. I don't know Daryl, but thank you for our content for this week's episode. It says, going 50-50 with a woman and expecting her to be submissive is wild. Now, first of all, I love the fact that he used the word wild because wild is one of my favorite words. But kind of got me thinking. Going 50-50 with a woman and expecting her to be submissive is wild. Len, one of the first conversations you and I ever had before we even started the ManTFup podcast, we were talking about some of the things you wanted to get into, some of the conversations you wanted to have. And one of them happened to have to do with gender roles and, the family dynamic in 2022 and where people are at and, why people are so confused, especially, women wanting to be equal to men and not wanting to play the role of women and whatever. What do you think of this tweet?
Well, first off, wild doesn't really do it for me, but the submissive word does.
Okay.
Because that's, submissive is kind of that's a very broad word
It is.
to use. Submissive how?
Yeah.
Like, sexually submissive?
No, I don't think that's what he meant.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But submissive how? Like you tell her to do the laundry and she just does it? I mean, it's a very...
I don't think that submissive has to be so caveman, cave woman, I'm Tarzan, you Jane in 2022. I think that submissive is kind of, more along the lines of you lead, I'll follow. You make the decisions that are best for our family unit or for our relationship. But I think that those lines get a little blurred when everything is split equally down the middle. Am I wrong in saying that?
No, I think every relationship is 50-50 or should be 50-50. Whether it's financially or not financially. Mm-hmm. You follow along with what I'm saying here? Like, women have kids. Men can't have kids.
Yeah.
Women have to, if for the most part, take care of those kids, at least for the first few years.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's a major contribution to a relationship.
Yeah.
And a commitment. So, I don't know. This is kind of a hard subject to go down because I am a caveman in some aspects.
I was about to say, I'm going to need you to find the Lenny that I
am.
met.
Listen, I'm a male chauvinist pig in most cases. But I will open a door for a woman and I will, I'm a gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think that, I have good manners and everything, but I still would be the dominant one in a relationship. Like, I'm going to say, hey, let's go to dinner. Mm-hmm. Hey, let's do this. Hey, let's do that. Now, that's not to say that, if my significant other says, hey, let's do this, I'm going to just shoot it down. Mm-hmm. It's like I said, submissive is when I think of submissive, I think of completely like a lifestyle, like
S&M?
No, like if you're submissive in a relationship, you are always submissive in the relationship. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of like there's like submissive can't be picked and choose.
Picked and chosen.
chosen and picked. It can't be. You can't just decide today I'm going to be submissive and tomorrow
I
I'm not.
disagree, because I think in certain areas of your life, you can most definitely make a conscious choice to be submissive or to defer to the other person in your relationship, right? If I know that I'm not great with finances, right? Like, so even if I'm contributing the same that you're contributing to the household, if I'm giving my 50%, but I know you have a knack for the stock market, or I know that you've got great instincts when it comes to real estate, I can make a choice to defer to you in those situations, right? Like, if I can trust you in those situations because you have maybe the better understanding. That to me is knowing who you're with as a partner, knowing your strengths and your weaknesses.
Yeah, but again, that's 50-50. That's a partnership. That's not.
Yeah, but
That-
what I'm saying to you is I'm giving you 50-50, but in this situation, I'm letting you make the financial decisions with regards to the areas that you excel in. Like, I have friends that are, when I tell you they split their phone bill, they split everything. But when it comes to like the stock market and them playing with, their extra cash, he is incredible in that space. And so she, who does not submit, is very forthcoming with her, her free cash, whatever. What is that called? Not petty cash, but you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever she's got left over that they're investing with. Like, she has no problem trusting him with that. And she also trusts him to get them out of bad investments if things go left, or, you know what I mean? Or if the market drops or whatever. And I have respect for that, because in a lot of situations when you're 50-50, people want to have the same amount of control over absolutely everything, whether they're qualified or not.
Yeah, well, that's that. Back to that 50-50 thing. If she's a better cook, you're going to let her cook. If he's a better investor, you're going to let him invest.
But if she's the better investor and you're the better cook as the man, are you okay with that, or does your ego get in the way?
Well,
when it comes
now
to
you're
money?
going back to gender roles. Now you're going. I mean, listen. If my wife was good at something that I was not good at, more power to her. If she could drive the fucking boat better than I can, I'm kicking back on the seat and relaxing and letting her drive. It's not about that. And going back to, they're 50-50, but she lets him invest, then it's still 50-50. He's going to let her do stuff that she's good at. Where do you define the submissive? I'm submissive when it comes to investing in the stock market. I'm submissive when it comes into the way she folds my fucking underwear. I'm submissive in the way, he takes out the garbage.
No, but okay, if you're 50-50 in a relationship and then all of a sudden you get a new job, you can't just expect her to up and relocate without questioning or doing some research or asking you to maybe defer a little bit. Do you understand? I think that when we're talking about submissive in a relationship, if you go back 20, 30, 40 years, or maybe not even that long, when the man was the quote unquote breadwinner, he called the shots. He made the decisions, or the breadwinner in general. If you want to look at, more progressive relationships, even if they're same sex, the person who is usually funding the household has a little bit more say traditionally, right, over the big decisions. Like, what car are we buying? Are we going to lease? Are we going to live here? Are we going to there? Is it time to sell? Oh, I have a better job opportunity, but that might mean moving 250 miles away. You know what I'm saying? Whether you're comfortable with that or not, if the person who is providing the most for the family decides to make a move, in traditional households, what they said goes, right? Like, that was just how it was.
Well, I mean, what is the relationship? Is the relationship based on financials, or is the relationship based on love? I mean, if you were in love with someone, but for instance, if you have someone who makes $500,000 a year and you have someone else who makes, $50,000 a year, $75,000 a year, even though you guys live modestly, but this person gets an opportunity to get a job somewhere else. Yeah, I mean, and there's going to be a discussion, but as a couple, wouldn't the decision be to move to where that person that's going to be more successful should be, whether it's her or him.
I think it depends on how you look at it. I mean,
I think
yes,
it
but
also
if you're
depends
building a career,
on
like if you're a med student, you know, I mean, there's a lot of variables to it. But again, it's the person who's making the most money is the person calling the shots. Because if now the person who's making 500 grand gets the opportunity to go make 750, and the other person is still going to be making 50 here or 50 there, okay, well, I can make 50 grand anywhere, right? Or I can make 75 grand anywhere. Let's go where you're going to be bettering our life. But what if the shoe is on the other foot and it's the person who's now getting the opportunity to climb the corporate ladder, right? And they're getting the opportunity to...
I sense that it's not the other person you're talking about. I sense it's the woman that you're talking about.
Well, no, I think that can go either way. Like, I think that it depends. In 2022, you can be with a woman who's clearing $500,000 as easy as you can be with a dude who's clearing $500,000.
Yeah.
So if I can't relocate and I'm the one making $500,000, right? And I can't get that same job in Pennsylvania or in Iowa, but my partner has this incredible opportunity to grow exponentially, and who knows where maybe eventually they're going to be the person making $500,000. Even though you want to do it, it's still detrimental. So again,
I mean, it boils down that there's so many variables here. There's so many variables. Is that person going to hold it against me for the rest of my life if I don't let them try to make that opportunity? You know, there's a million variables that you just can't get into with that, because is there kids involved? Is there family involved? Do you, you know, is it where you grew up?
We're having a very base level conversation.
Yeah,
and
but
50-50 and expecting somebody to submit is wild. That is what the tweet said.
Yes.
So if everything is split down the middle and expecting that person to defer to you in any way, shape, or form, or to expecting to that person. So if you're in a 50-50 situation, right, and you get the opportunity to improve, but let's say her situation is great, what does that look like? Like, can you be upset with the other person for flexing a little bit, or expecting you to take them into consideration? Like, times have changed. Like, Lenny, you call the shots in your family.
Yeah. I told you the story once. I was at my friend's house, some barbecue bullshit, you know, all married couples, kids running around. I sat down at the table, and the woman whose party it was like, "Aren't you gonna eat?" I'm like, "Isn't my wife here?" And then my plate flew in like in like a minute and a half. My plate hit the table right in front of me. And it's just funny how all of this, you know, everybody in a relationship has things they'll tolerate and things that, you know, breaking points or comfort levels or whatever it may be. You know, so my friends, their wife doesn't get their plate. Okay, that's their choice. That's, you know, do
the friends' wives work, or are they in a very similar situation? Like, I know your wife works, but...
You know, my friend's wife works from home and, you know, has whatever job, but he pays all the bills, you know? And it's just, he buys all the cars. He doesn't even touch her money. She puts all her money, she spends her money on whatever she wants to spend it on. But my point is, there's different levels of that from one extreme to the other. What one person looking at a relationship might think as, oh, he's a egotistical bully, and then the other end of the spectrum is the woman is the egotistical bully. You know, there's when it comes to relationships and that type of thing, it's what that relationship will tolerate. So you could say, yeah, 50, I mean, I guess the modern 50-50, you could go into it like that, but there's going to be a problem. If you go into any kind of relationship, and I say this because Rachel and I have been up and down a million times financially over the years, and that's never been a issue. That's never been a argument. That's never been anything in our house. Money has never, ever come into our relationship as a fight. So I have a different perspective than most people.
But you've also been married for 30 years.
What's the difference?
I think that things were different 30 years ago than they are now. I think that people get married later in life. People have established more by the time they get into serious relationships. Nestor, our incredible director, photographer, everything, was saying he's been in situations where he's, you know, taking care of majority of the bills and ended up feeling away when that person was being frivolous. You know what I'm saying? Because you're trying to do the responsible thing. You're trying to do, you know, the gentlemanly thing and provide and take care of. But when it gets squandered or taken advantage of, you're like, oh, hell to no. So now Nestor feels like, nice.
Like I said, everybody has a tolerating point. Like, you know, if you send your girl to the grocery store and she comes back with the smallest portions possible, 30 of them instead of just getting a gallon, you know, it's that goes to it costs you know, it costs
that sounds very specific. I'm just
saying it's just an example, you know. You buy the smallest size, it costs you more. Because I just use this example with my daughter, who, you know, they're learning how to shop. They don't know. This little one is convenient. It costs $2. So let's buy 10 of them. That's $20. Or you could just buy one big one and use a cup to put them in, and that costs $3, you know? So you just paid $17 more.
So you're a BJ's guy, aren't you?
No, absolutely not. But that's the type of thing that people get into. And Nestor can throw out all his big and bad shit. But I would bet if Nestor's decides to have a kid, his wife is going to be that mom that's with the kid and takes care of that kid, and Nestor's going to support the family. Mm-hmm. Even though she has a good job and, you know, she's going to take maternity leave and she's going to take care of that kid, and that goes back to a traditional family.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's also a means of contributing, quote unquote, to the 50-50 in the sense of, if I'm not taking care of our kid, somebody else has to be taking care of our kid. And is that going to be daycare, and what does that cost, and X, Y, Z?
Absolutely.
And it's also, you know, it's prioritization. We were discussing that as well. That's another conversation that you have to have in 2022 with people is, what does raising a family look like to you? Because again, we're getting farther and farther away from that traditional, you know.
And it's all perspective of the persons. You know, there's guys that would never let a woman pay for dinner, you know, and then I heard nowadays there's, you know, people that go out on dates and they split the date. I mean,
I don't split a date. I'm going to be honest, I'm that person that will pick up a check intentionally so that there are no expectations, so that you're not out in these streets talking about, oh, I used you for an expensive glass of tequila. Nah, bitch, I got the check. Don't worry about it. And I've actually made gentlemen very upset because they feel like I tried their masculinity, because when they get us to go to the bathroom, I take care of the check. But I'm expensive, and I don't feel like that's... You know, I don't want to go out on a first date with somebody and cost X amount of dollars and then not give up the goodies, or not want to go on a second date, and now you feel away. Because in South Florida in particular, there are a lot of situations that arise where I think somebody ends up leaving, and I'm sure it's usually the man, feeling used, right? Like, I got used for dinner, I got used for drinks, I got used for whatever. You know, and there's some women that are like, shit, yeah, like, I can't, right now money's tight, gas is expensive, I can't afford to take myself to a nice dinner.
I mean, do you think that's just women getting back at men for waking up alone every morning?
What, that they're mad about that?
Yeah, because they just got used for something else?
No.
I don't know. It's the same thing. I mean, men are now picking up feelings that, you know, oh, I took that bitch out for dinner and da-da-da-da, and I didn't get no pussy. That's their feelings. I mean, that you're getting feelings when it's the same thing. Oh man, he took me to McDonald's and I gave up the pussy anyways, and now he's gone. It's the same thing, right? So traditionally,
need everyone to raise the bar a little bit, just with that. But with Lenny's analogy, please do not give up the pussy if you got McDonald's. Don't do it.
I'm just saying. I mean, there's regret in everything, you know.
I don't even know if that's regret. I just think that
people feel they got used.
Well, no, but it's also with social media, like, you have people bragging on shit like that. Now, oh, I went out to dinner last, like, you know, and then they bring a homegirl along, and it's, you know, next thing you know, the bill
Yeah.
is $500, and it was like, I just met you on fucking Hinge. When did this happen? Like, are you kidding me? You know, and for me, it's just, I like to be very clear. Like, I don't need you for a cocktail. I'm good. If I choose to go out on a second date with you, then I'll let you pay. But if not, like, I got this. I'm all right. And again, I think that that's the very 2022 in me, and that's the BDE and whatever. And it doesn't always work out, but I'm not usually interested. Why are you making that face at me?
I just find it. I find it interesting. I see you with a gentleman. That's what I see you as being with. And that statement that you just made would automatically just try a gentleman.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'd be like, bitch, if I knew you were paying, I would have ordered the lobster.
And I probably would have picked up the tab. I mean, I'm just
But
saying.
you know what I'm saying? It's like you're playing a game. It's like you're playing a game.
Yeah, isn't that dating?
I guess. I don't know. I have no fucking idea.
Well, that I think is my point, is that if I was genuinely interested and I felt like there was something there,
Yeah.
then it's a different situation, because now I'm looking forward to the second date. So I'm going to let you have your moment. You know what I mean? And that's one of those things, I think, when you're around guys.
What are you going to
all
do?
the time.
What are you going to do when you're having that feeling and you're like, oh, I'm not going to get the check finally. Oh, I feel
And
good
then
about
he slides
this.
the check to
Yeah.
me.
And then he's like, can you pay half?
Trust me, the feeling would be instantaneously gone. Let me tell you.
Can you pay half?
Let me tell you. Gone.
Don't you think we should split this?
I'd be like, no, I got it.
Like,
At that point,
listen,
I got
you could go off on the whole check thing. I won't go to dinner with people who do not split the check. I will not go to dinner with people who itemize a check.
Oh, you're talking about that, like, so if,
Yeah.
if you, me, and Nestor went out, just split it 3 ways.
That's it.
Yeah.
I won't go to. I swear to God, I
Yeah.
will not go to dinner with
you know-
people who do that.
I can't take it when it gets awkward. Have you ever had one of those moments when you're sitting at a table and like everybody's looking around and you're just like, I got it. Like,
I'd rather tell the waitress up front, yeah, we'll have separate checks, but I'm not. I can't take it.
yeah.
I cannot.
And I also can't take people who can't tip.
Oh yeah.
That's the other thing.
That
That
drives
like, I have to, like, if I'm out with a group, I watch. Like,
Yeah.
if you ever go out to eat with me, know that I'm hawking your tip line. I want to see what you left, and if it wasn't enough, I'll probably end up sliding
Yeah,
the waiter
of
or
course.
waitress like extra money at the
and
end.
then
like,
people
"Gee,
feel bad. They're like, oh, why did you do that?
'cause you're cheap.
Yeah, cheap fuck.
You're cheap. Yeah, no. That's why it's always good to have people like, but even in my last relationship, like, I think that it's funny that you say that, because I think that you can get to that place in a relationship where you're not there's no dollars and cents involved. And that's, I'm sure, where you're at in your place after 30 years or whatever, where it's like, I don't care if I pay for this vacation, I know that there's 3 more coming my way. You know what I mean? Or if I take care of dinner tonight, like, Bay's got me all the time. Like, it's not about counting who's doing what, or, I think that that's a great space to be in. So I guess that kind of takes us back to the whole, 50-50 and expecting somebody to be submissive.
I mean,
think it
if you're in a
depends on the
true relationship, okay, the money's one thing. You both have a job. You both contribute to the household. You want to better both of your lives, because the 2 incomes can get you a better house and better cars and whatever else.
Yeah.
But you still want to do things that are traditional for your man or your woman. You want to take care of them. You want to do things for them. So, putting in terms like dominant or submissive into a relationship is difficult in the day-to-day, because what's good for you, what you want to personally do for your man and what your man wants to personally do for you might not be 50-50. It might not seem 50-50 to Nestor. I mean, I see a lot of guys that are dominated by their wives. Like, that bitch calls and they're like, oh, I gotta go. Why? She's not gonna be there when you get home.
Maybe he's happy at home with his wife, Len.
But I'm just saying, if you're out. Yeah. Listen, there's a lot of
What does it have to be?
friggin' whip guys.
Don't make the crack the whip noise, Nestor. Like, why does it have to be pussy whipped? Why is that not just respectful? Like, if your wife is asking you to come home, maybe there's something happening. Maybe there's
Listen,
something there.
and that,
or maybe
and that,
you're a bad influence, Lenny, and wifey knows
listen,
that.
that
It's
is
like,
absolutely.
Who are you out with? Bring your ass home right now.
You'll never leave this house again, bitch.
Like,
no, I get all of that. It's really, I think, more the way the man handles it around his, like, oh yeah, I gotta go. I mean, it's a lot of that, but there's a lot.
Think all your boys sound like Eeyore from like Winnie the Pooh.
Hey man, gotta go. She just called.
I gotta
She
go.
just called.
Like,
Gotta go.
yo, I'd be so hot.
No,
if
but I
heard
mean,
your friend
even
watch
like,
this.
the some of the people we work with might be that way. I just, it's funny to watch the evolution of people as you get to know them, and they're single, and then they get in a relationship, and it's like really, what happened to you, dude? Where'd my boy go? It happens a lot. It happens, and the same thing because it happens the same with girls. You got a girl, you guys are single, you're hanging out, all of a sudden she gets all manned up, and what happens? She's a totally different fucking person.
Yeah, but sometimes it's just drama with your friends. So sometimes your person genuinely makes you happy.
Exactly, which
Right?
is why no one from the outside can say whether you're
Submissive or dominant.
Yes.
I think though the tweet was put out there in a broader sense. We're getting very.
I would just like one simple example of
I think you just have to take it at face, but I think you just have to take
submissive.
it at face value because Lenny, again, you're not in a 50-50 relationship like that. I think this is strictly. I think that. And again, I could be reading into it. I just know the conversations that are being had on social media right now have a lot to do with, high value men, high value women. What are you bringing to the table versus what are your expectations for the person that you're dating and what they're bringing to the table. And I think when we're in this space of, women, either demanding equality or being okay with going into situations 50-50, right? Like where legit you paying half the rent, half the light bill, that can change things because it's kind of like, okay, I think it blurs those traditional roles. So it depends on, I think, the kind of household you came up in. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it blurs everything, and I think there's going to be a lot of single motherfuckers as they get older. But
yeah, I don't disagree.
when you put dollar signs,
but is that bad?
As a priority in a relationship, there's a problem.
But I think that's easy to say when you get into a relationship in your 20s. I think it becomes a little bit more important as you get older and there's things that become prioritized. Like this isn't like somewhere over the rainbow anymore. Like when you're an adult getting into committed relationships with a little bit more wind behind your back, a little bit more life experience, I want to know your credits. Like where are you at?
Listen.
Like there's things that you ask at 35 and 40 that you don't ask at 22 and 27.
Absolutely. And that's very important. So you meet somebody new. Hey, what do you do? I do this. What do you do? I do this. Okay. So you're dating, you don't talk really much about it. Now you're getting serious. Okay. So you might want to have the conversation. Well, how do you feel about relationships going forward? Do you want to, are we both going to contribute to the household? Mm-hmm. Or is it going to be like, hey, the rent is $16.50. You have to give me $8.25. They charge us an extra 25 cents this month. You need 12.5 cents. It's contributing to the household versus, it's when you make it a very stringent thing. Yeah, it becomes something to,
You know what though? No, it does. But this is what I think is scary because you talk a lot about the family unit and family dynamic and that being a big problem, especially in this country right now because it's gone quite askew. And if I think about the comments that we've seen, especially on a lot of our TikTok posts talking about financial subjects, a lot of the comments, especially from the younger skewing, commenters, is that you just don't get it. Like things are so much more expensive now than they were 20 or 30 years ago, whether that's your house, whether it's rent, whatever the case may be. And so I think a lot of people are forced to come into relationships prioritizing monetary equality than they used to be. Do you know what I'm saying? Because now, in order to afford, one of the reasons why you might move in together a little sooner is because you want to get out of your mom or dad's house, or you want to get out of the frat house you've been living in, but you can't afford to live on your own. So you're in a relationship and it's like, hey, you want to move in together, right? Like, may as well. So you're kind of coming into it from a roommate perspective, but then, bonus, we fuck. So like we have sex. Yay! And we really like each other and whatever, but that there's a monetary obligation there because neither one of you can afford to do it on your own, right?
Yeah, and that's something that you agree to. I mean, I know somebody who recently purchased a house and, was in a fairly young relationship and, she moved in and he charges her rent, and he specifically said, I'm charging her rent because, if something ever happens, it's my motherfucking house, but it's, I guess, having that understanding that you're both going to contribute to make this work.
Yeah.
Versus 50-50,
but,
I think is my issue.
That point right there, when somebody says, but it's my motherfucking house. See, that's the flex. So when we talk about, coming into things with money or whatever, because at the end of the day, she can make a house a home or they can make a house a home. But when push comes to shove, if your name's not on the lease, if it's not on the mortgage, if it's not on the deed, right?
There's the fucking door.
You want to take your Pottery Barn pillows with you? Cool. But don't touch shit else. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that I think is when he says like that, and expecting somebody to be submissive, because point in case, she's kind of forced to be submissive. There's some shit she might want to bitch about, but in the back of her mind, like, where the fuck am I going? Where am I going? Yeah, I'm staying here for $600 a month. If I leave because I don't like the fact that he leaves his socks on the floor, or I don't like the fact that he focuses so much on work.
I feel bad for people that get into a relationship and that is what's on their mind.
That's a lot of marriages. Are you kidding me?
No,
like,
but
there's a lot of people that stay in marriages because they're financially sound or stable.
That's an unhappy life. Mm-hmm. That's an unhappy life.
But that's why. So I don't know. Like this, I think just hit a nerve for me because obviously I'm not married. I'm older. I've spent the last 10 years dealing with somebody on and off. But like I look at it now and I just think that we're just in such a different space. Like, I don't know if I need to cohabitate with my person full time down the road. Like, I think you get to a place in life where you're like, hey, like I like my space, and I'm an only child, so I've always liked my space. I don't know. Like, I just think the dynamics in relationships are changing. That doesn't make me any less loyal. It doesn't make me any less committed. You know what I mean? It takes the 50-50 element out of it because it's like, this is my place. That's yours. Now, if you want to invest in a property together somewhere else, whether it's a vacation or Airbnb, like, but these are the things that we think about now in 2022. Yeah. Like, we have completely separate living spaces, but we have maybe joint ventures together in business.
Yeah, or you guys, buy a house together and he keeps his place and rents it and you keep your place and rent it. Yeah, I mean, listen, that's kind of, I guess, a sense of security to fall back on, but that still doesn't go to the 50-50 rule. It's, you're a woman, I'm a man, it's never going to be 50-50.
There it is.
Never going to be 50-50.
There's the Lenny I know and love.
You are going to expect things from me because you think it's a man thing, and I'm going to expect things from you because I think it's a woman thing. Now,
give me an example. Give me the woman things, Len, on your list.
Putting the seat down.
My God.
Why always
go back to the toilet.
That's
and then something like
the bathroom. Listen,
you're handy. Make a button.
So we go into the bathroom. There's the counter. There's the counter. What of mine is on the counter? A fucking toothbrush. That's it.
Where's your razor?
What's on your counter?
I forgot you like your stubble.
What's on your counter? Every fucking thing from CVS. Everything. There, you can't even fucking get to the counter. So those things are inherently going to be different. You walk into the closet. Is the closet 50-50? Fuck no. Okay? It's not 50-50. There's all kinds of shit that still got the tags on it that you're ever going to fucking wear. and
you've got
I'm in a fucking
75
shoebox.
pair of Lucky jeans and 250 T-shirts. Get out of here, Lenny.
Well,
How many
whatever.
pairs of sneakers?
I'm
Be
just
quiet.
saying. And so it might be different in my house. It might be 50-50, might be 60-40 the other way.
All right.
But the point is,
Shut up.
The point is, there are things that will never be equal. And if you go into a relationship with the mentality
That
of
everything-
everything's got to be equal, you're setting yourself up for failure, because you're going to take resentment on that person that's got 51% of the fucking counter in the bathroom, or in a woman's case, 80% of the counter, and you have 20%.
You know, I wonder if this comes back to kids too, though. Like, because if you have two working parents, two chiefs, right, two big personalities, and there's kids involved, and nobody's staying home, right? Whether there's a nanny, there's childcare, there's grandparents, whatever the case may be. You don't get to flex the I had a long day, right? Like if somebody asks you to do something and you both are up at the crack of dawn and ripping and running all day long, like you don't have that to fall back on. Like a lot of men historically have been given the leeway when they just want to come home, plop down on their lazy boy and crack a beer and put on the game. I know this is so not who you are. Like everything I just said is like, how what came? Like what beer? What lazy boy? I'm in the garage. I'm fixing shit. But they've been given that leeway because, oh, daddy had a hard day, right? But in 2022, if I take Nestor's situation, Nestor's here all day long, but Nestor's wife is in school for her master's degree. Like she's running a like, I mean, her checklist is just as long as
We have to be very careful when we talk about Nestor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is he spinning? Oh.
We don't want to get him in trouble.
No, I'm praising his wife. What I'm saying is if they had kids.
Absolutely.
So, like, I'm getting the thumbs up. Like, but I also don't see Nestor being that guy that would automatically say the kids are a girl thing. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that he wouldn't make a way for his wife. If she looked at him and said, I want to stay home for the first 5 years, you know what I mean? And make sure, you know, I'm hands-on and we're reading and we're doing all of the pre-K stuff. He'd find a way to get it done, right? And support. And I think that he'd be extremely supportive in that way. But I also don't see him flexing when she's like, I want to go back to work, because I think Nestor's the kind of guy that appreciates somebody bringing something to the table, you know? And I also, you know, if she calls him and is like, hey, I'm going to be late at the office. Can you go pick up, you know, NJ, Nesta Jr. or whatever.
I get it.
He'd be telling you like, yo, Len, I'll
gotta
work
go
at
pick
this
the
from
kids.
home. I got to go pick up the kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
absolutely. And it's that, again, it's a relationship and it requires both participants. But is it going to be 50-50? No. Some weeks it might be 60-40 him.
Yeah.
Some weeks it might be 70-30 her.
But
You know, it's just those things. But I'll tell you this. If you're a man and you do the working and you go to the job and your wife stays home and takes care of the kids and the house, then her 50% is taking care of the kids in the house. And that shit better be clean and my dinner better be on the fucking table, because I'm doing my 50% and paying all the fucking bills. So it's always going to be there. There's always, every relationship has 50-50 or 60-40 or whatever you want to call it. It's a relationship. It's about the person you're with, not about how much money you have, not about, you know.
And like, I agree with you 200% that rarely is everything equal at the same time. Like that, I think is just, that's a statement in life that's true of the workplace. That's true of your home. That's true in family dynamics, in friendships, right? Somebody's always giving more. You just hope that at the end of the day, when you look back, it's evened out, right? Like,
of course.
Like over the course of time. But I think my biggest thing is the gender roles kind of have to be taken out of it, because Nestor saying I'm gonna go grab NJ doesn't make him submissive to his wife. It's not the woman job. Like that I think is where the dynamic is shifting. And that's, I think, why you have dudes coming onto social media kind of with their head whirling around, because certain things, like in the Lenny household, they're very much defined by typical gender roles. Like, you have a pretty, I don't want to call it a Leave It to Beaver family because it's not Leave It to Beaver, but you work.
We have more like a Sopranos family.
Well, I mean, but same thing, but Edie,
Yeah.
Edie takes no shit.
Yeah.
But on the flip, like, and she had no problem telling Tony about himself, but Tony was still the guy,
But I drive the kids to school if I can.
Yeah.
All of that works. Our kids get taken care of by both of us.
Yeah.
Does it lean more on Rachel? Of course it does. Because she works X amount of hours a week and I work X amount of hours a week, and it's just about getting shit done. I mean, today my oldest had to pick up the kids because Rachel was doing something and I was doing something, and
Go ahead, Nick.
we call on Nick
I-
to go pick up the kids. So
Frightening.
Listen,
I'm just kidding.
it's a partnership. When you get in a relationship, all you young people today thinking about all this Instagram perfect relationships, listen, it's a relationship. It requires work on both parts. Don't make it about dollars and cents, and don't make it about it. I did more than you yesterday. It's about helping each other and making a partnership.
Can I tell you something? You're not talking to the young kids. I don't think they're the ones with the problem.
I think they are.
No, I don't. I think it's more the middle-aged people that are in there. Like, I think it's more the me generations that are having the difficult time figuring the shit out. Because this
Figuring
is
what out?
What do
Find
you mean?
somebody you enjoy spending time with,
That's a different.
and then it'll work itself out. Don't go into a relationship thinking about dollars and cents. Okay? You want a gentleman, okay? You're going to be looking for men that are in a certain income bracket based on where they're hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
If you live in a trailer park, you're going to look in the trailer park. If you live in a bougie-ass place, you're going to look in a bougie-ass place. You don't have to break him down into dollars and cents for the rest of your life. You need to break him down into somebody that's going to support you and take care of you in whatever you do. It's a partnership.
But that's what I'm saying. So I don't know that 50-50 is even necessarily strictly monetary. Like, because it goes back to that whole thing. Like, at this point in your life, if you meet somebody who's successful, right, it's who's going to defer to who. Like, in my job, right, like, I'm on the radio and I do this. Some of that can be done from anywhere. But, like, there are major markets, right? So I'm in Miami. It's a good market. It's top 5 in terms of influence, but we're, like, market 11 in terms of size. So there's New York, there's LA, there's Chicago, there's Atlanta. There's obviously, there's 10 other markets that are bigger than this that also pay more. So if I'm with somebody and one of those markets comes a calling, that's one of those things like, hey, I'm out.
Yeah, no. And
I
totally get that. But you're however old you are, we're not going to drop
I'm
numbers.
41. It's okay.
So you're 41 years old. So you meet a guy that you totally love, and he has a successful business. He's a lawyer here in South Florida. He's got a successful practice. He's going all in. And LA calls and says, hey, we'll give you $100,000 more a year to come to LA and do this show, but you'll be the headliner. You can't honestly say to me, you're going to automatically drop that relationship and go. Because if you find the right person, you're not fucking going nowhere. Except to the kitchen.
It's called miles, baby. It's called miles, and it's called points, and let's rack those bitches up.
I don't know. I don't know. I just don't think you found the right person yet.
No, I don't think that's. But why does anybody have to make that choice? Because for most relationships, if the shoe is on the other foot and the dude gets the offer for the extra $100,000 or the extra $250,000, it's not. A question.
I think you're making an assumption. Because I think most dudes who find a good piece of ass are not going anywhere for anything. Right?
I don't know that I would respect that, though. I don't know that I would respect that.
Oh, so now you're going to hold it against him that he's not going to leave you to take a better job?
I'll fly. Go get that money. Like, go, please. No, because to your point, I don't want you to resent me if I, in a year, choose my career over this location. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I don't know that... That.
Could you do a long distance relationship?
No.
Well,
no, I would not want to ever be in a long distance relationship, and I don't know at this stage in your life, you might not be looking for that type of relationship. You might not be
Well, it's
looking.
different if you're not
You
necessarily
might not
gonna
be
have
looking for
kids,
that guy
it's
you're going to spend
different.
the rest of your life with and travel Europe with and do all that stuff
No,
with. You
I
might not be
definitely
looking
want
for
the
that.
person that I can travel Europe with. It just he doesn't have to be the only person. I'm just kidding. Like, he could be for the next few years. There could be one after that. I mean, this is an evolutionary process.
So
No, I mean, no, I love a partnership. I'm just not super traditional in that whole, and maybe that's because I never saw it. Like, I did not grow up around super healthy relationships in the sense of like long-term commitment. My grandmother got divorced like when people didn't get, she was married for 25 years, but she got separated when people didn't really get separated. I always saw very strong, very empowered, very, selfless and self-sufficient women. I've had incredible men in my life, whether they were, family members or, just friends. So I've seen that, and I've seen people treat their partners with the utmost respect, but like, I just didn't grow up prioritizing the traditional kind of family unit. Now, I did say that if I ever had kids, I would want to be a family, because I just think that if you can have a healthy, functioning family unit, I definitely think it's better for kids. I think that you learn a lot about people and you learn a lot about relationships and compromise when you grow up in that kind of situation.
Flip side, I grew up just like you.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up single mother. She did everything.
Mm-hmm.
And she spoiled me.
Mm-hmm.
On top of that. So.
Did you covet that, though? Did you want family?
Maybe. I don't know. I had, my father's side of the family had was a big family and all these great traditions. And I always kind of liked it, but I don't know. I don't think I ever thought about it when I was younger. It's odd, but I came from a broken home. They got divorced when I was 5, and I literally watched my mom struggle to keep us, good. And I watched my dad never give her anything to help us, so it's tough. It's tough. I mean, I learned a lot of stuff from my dad. From him not being around, and some of those things stuck with me. But I think in my relationship, I wanted to have kids.
But that's what I'm saying.
I would have had a kid when I was 15, I think, probably. That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
So I got it. I made it happen. So it's again, it goes to personal preference.
It's priorities.
It goes to personal preference.
And I don't think that that's ever been again, I'm an extremely loyal person. I'm an extremely committed person. I hate dating, like just that whole idea of going out with multiple people, and I hate it. But that whole like traditional commitment, I need to walk down the aisle and the kid, like that was never really my thing. And I've definitely prioritized relationships, and I've also dated very successful individuals, but not in like the traditional business sense. And I think that I've always kind of felt like, when it comes to the 50-50 thing, I've always paid my share because everybody around them took from them. And I never wanted to be the person that anyone confused for having, ulterior motives. Like,
you didn't want to look like a gold digger.
Ever. And that's like, it's one of those things, like living here, it's difficult I think sometimes when you look a certain way, when you hang out with certain people, when you have a certain career path or whatever, like
I ain't saying she's a gold digger.
No, it's hard though. It's hard.
Of course.
And like people have anyway, whatever. It's just so, and like I said, most of my friends are guys, and I think I don't want to say they taught me better, but it was like, don't be a sucker. Make sure you keep your head on the swivel, and always put your good foot forward. And that's kind of how I've walked through things. And it's difficult to pull the wool over my eyes, like whatever. But I'm not upset. Like, I'm not sad about it. Like, I've had an incredible, incredible run. I just think that we're in this space now where shit is just different. Dating is different.
I can tell you one thing. My son doesn't ask his girlfriend for half the money for the bills. It's just not the way it works.
Yeah.
My daughter might, but
I'm not mad at her for doing that, though.
I don't know, but that's just not the way my kids are, and that's not, you know, it's. And I have, my friend has kids that are polar opposites. One of them is like, give me half, and the other one, you know, foots the bill, and that's, I guess it's kind of what you're taught, but the problem is people aren't being taught by their family anymore; they're being taught by Instagram. So, you know, it's their examples in life are not real.
Well, it also goes back to what we talk about all the time with the jobs, and it's, you know, you're worth what somebody
Is willing to pay you.
yeah, you're worth. Like, your value is what somebody is willing to pay you. And, you know, you see that a lot in these conversations is, you know, where you're setting the bar versus what you're bringing to the table may need a little adjusting, right? And to your point, when you're scrolling Instagram and you're seeing all these things, and I want the guy that's got like all of this, and it's like, well, what are you coming to the table with? And then when you're thinking about who those individuals are and what's on their list of shit that they want from their partner, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's this vicious cycle, and nobody's being fulfilled because everybody's got the bar set so far. And I'm not saying to sell yourself short, but it kind of goes back to this. And again, I'm not in a 50-50 relationship in the sense of, because again, I like to keep shit separate, you know, like money is an uncomfortable subject for me. Like, I
hadn't noticed.
I'd rather foot the bill. Like, yeah. Lenny says that to me because I don't know. Like, I don't think we still haven't had the conversation. I've still never actually sat down and talked about what I think I should be paid. But no, it's just, I don't know why. But so it's easier for me, like, you know, in a situation. But I've also said a million times, there's nothing more empowering than knowing that I can provide the life that I like for myself, for my mom. Like, I'm good. I don't need anybody to help me with that. So whatever you're coming now, don't detract from it. You know, I'm not paying for your life. Like, that's not something I want to do, and that's not being a gold digger. It's just, for what? Like, why would I be? No, I'm not. I'm 41. I don't have time. Like, I don't have time for the dude at McDonald's who's got big dreams. You know what I'm saying? Like, no.
That's
Sorry.
interesting.
Why is that interesting?
It just is. You know, again, today's youth is very confused, and the fact that you're going looking for things based on, you know, what kind of car they drive or what kind of, you know, because 99% of the stuff you see, especially down here, people doing or having is not real.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're going to go out and you're going to do whatever, and you're going to jump in head first, and then you're going to realize, oh, wow, that dude takes all the money he makes from McDonald's and rents a car every Friday. You know, I mean, it's the truth, though. It's an illusion. And, you know, if you go in with those kind of expectations, you're almost inevitably going to be disappointed at some point.
You know, Len, I think that you're a difficult person to have these conversations with. And I say that because, you know, for most people, money is the foundation of the success of their relationship or of its downfall, right? In a lot of situations, you can have people who love each other exponentially, but the money's just off, right? And they can't pay the bill. And there's just stress that comes with that. You can't provide for your family properly, or, you know, you're constantly fighting to make ends meet. And that just puts a lot of stress on a relationship, which is already, to your point, you've said it multiple times, something that takes work and compromise and give and take and all of that.
And support.
Yeah.
Support is a big part of it. I mean, listen, let's flip the scenario. You're with a man, you're doing 50-50, and all of a sudden he loses his job.
Yeah.
But what do?
You hold down the fort.
So then it's not 50-50 anymore.
It's not. But no, and that's a testament to the relationship that you're in, because in some situations I'd be like, yo, I'm out. Like, but that's not, to me, a relationship.
That's not a relationship.
I've been in that situation.
If you're in a committed relationship, you're fucking committed.
Yeah.
You know, that's the bottom line. If you're going to, you know, if you're going to say, I'm going to support you and take care of you in whatever happens, I don't care what it is, then.
But Len, that's easier to do with some people than with others. Because, like, and I say you're a tough person to have the financial conversations with, because even in the short period of time that I've known you, you're always going to find a way. Like, you'll always find a way to land back on your feet, even if the rug, the parquet, the floor,
it doesn't matter.
All of it is pulled out from underneath you.
Tomorrow's a new day.
You find a way to do it. Not everybody rebounds like that, and you know that. And I think you have to know what your person is made of when you get into those situations. Like, my ex was very much like you, so there was never a question in my mind when things got a little, turbulent. Like, I was like, we good. And I was, again, all I could think of was how grateful I was that situation didn't impact my situation. And I was able to do for him at times, you know what I'm saying, if he needed it. And I had no second thoughts about it in my mind. But then I dated another dude who asked me for some chump change for a tire on his Maserati. And it literally made my stomach squeamish. Because I was just like, you're a fraud. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, he needed $150 to get a tire changed on his Maserati, and he lived on Williams Island. Like, bitch, get the fuck out of my face. Fraud. Like, that was literally the end of our situation. I was like, you disgust me. And it wasn't about, it was just, like, at the time I was working overnight, you know what I mean? And he had the nerve to ask me for $150 for a tire. And he's driving around an $80,000 car and living, like, it was wild to me. So I just made your point, you know, about the guy working at McDonald's who takes all his money and rents a car on Friday. Yeah. But I think that, as you get older, it's a little bit easier to get into those situations where you're able to judge, hopefully, somebody's character. And that's why I said, like, I'm not trying to date the 25-year-old that's working at McDonald's with his big plans. But I'll date the business dude that might be going through, you know what I mean, going through a spell, because I can see the vision. I can see that I can see that he's got the stuff that it takes to see it through. But I don't know that I would have recognized that at 25. I see things a little differently. I've been around enough people now at 41, so I look at things a little different. And then I'm also not in the relationship for any financial gain, right? Because I know I can provide it, and I have my own goals set for myself. And I don't necessarily want to be deterred by the fact that the dude that I'm with has crazy money or whatever, right? Because I still need to stay on this path over here.
I think the only thing I can tell that guy on Instagram is make a list of what you really want in a partner. Forget about splitting the money. Forget about paying half the bill. Make a list of what you want in a partner, what your expectations are for a relationship. And the same thing for women. Really look at what you want. You want to be financially secure, you're going to give up for that. You're going to, you're going to, you ever walk through the mall and go, how the fuck did that guy get that girl?
In South Florida?
Every day. So,
here.
just know that you're going to make sacrifices for what you want. It's never going to be 50-50. Everybody's got to give in some way or another.
And also, maybe let's lose the term submit.
Yes.
And replace it with, I think it's defer. Listen, I think that we defer. You defer to your partner's strengths where they have them. It's not a submission. Correct. It's just deferring and letting
submission belongs in the bedroom. Okay? Period. That's the only place it belongs.
I don't disagree with you.
That's the only place it belongs.
So that's really what the message for Mr. Twitter, Instagram.
Yes.
Lose submission from the equation.
Yeah.
And I think you'll be in a much better place.
Pick the right fucking words.
I love it. Well, there you have it.
He clearly doesn't know how to make a girl submit.
Boy, we're not going to do that. We're not going to try this.
Clearly.
We don't know him, Lenny. We don't know him. We don't know what happens in his bedroom. All I'm going to say is replace
He's the submissive one.
With deferring and go from there.
Yes.
Submissive, like Len said, should be left in the bedroom.
50-50 is a lofty goal, and it needs to be contribution more than just financial.
Yeah. And I think it should be end game. Like, when you look back at when you're 90 years old, can you look at your relationship and go, you know what? I feel good about this. Like, we both put in the same amount of
I gave
effort.
up over here, but I got over here, and he gave up over here, and I got to, it's that's what it boils down to. in the end, if it was all, everybody was happy and got what they wanted out of the relationship and it went whatever,
Where are you going?
all good.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm hanging up.
I was
I'm hanging up.
Okay.
That's it. We're done.
That's it. We're done. That was this week's episode of the ManTFup podcast. Please make sure you like, subscribe, follow, and share. Share. Hit the share button. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Google, Apple, iHeart, Buzzsprout. We're everywhere. There's no excuses. At ManTFup TV, at ManTFup now. Go, Lenny. End it.
And if you want to email your questions, concerns, or just talk about submission, Kimmy B at ManTFupTV.com. Have a great day.
We'll see you next week.